Time now for KJ and Dondero with KJ Carson and Mark Dondero on WEEI. WEEI.
And streaming everywhere on the Odyssey app.
Pritchard tries again. Pritchard hits again. 4 for 4 off the bench, 10 points. Tatum fires away. Hits a three. Jason Tatum from downtown. Way off. White releases to Tatum. Tatum the catch. Layup is good. Oh, what a catch and finish from Jason Tatum. Brown gets inside. Back out to Griffin. Stolen by Jaylen Brown. Gets away. He thought he fouled him. Griffin thought he fouled him, and Jaylen Brown throws it down. Jaylen Brown, step back three. It's good. Jaylen Brown against Griffin. Drives inside. Layup. Shot's good. Brown kicks it out. Corner three for Tatum. Got it. Williams on the steal. Throws it to Tatum. Tatum inside. Layup is good. And the foul. Something special's going on in Boston with these Celtics. And the Celtics take a 3-0 lead in this opening round.
I'm jumping out.
KJ Dondero, WEEI, Celtics up 3-0. Thank you so much for starting your Sunday morning with us on the fastest sports show in America. The next 2 hours, we've got Celtics covered. We'll talk about the heartbreak that happened in Tampa with the Red Sox. Plus, I have a surprise for Mark this morning. Mark, what a game last night in Brooklyn.
KJ, what up, man? Let me just say this about the Celtics to lead off the show. Right now, the Boston Celtics are the best team in the NBA and the hottest team in the NBA. And that is a tough combination to beat. I knew they were going to go in there and kick Brooklyn's ass last night. I knew it. And they did it, and it was awesome, and I'm feeling good.
Well, this team is decimated, and I'm talking about the Nets. This is the team that was supposed to be pumped in circumstance, and I mean, everybody was making excuses for them. As long as they get to the 7 or 8 seed, they may be the most dangerous 7 seed in basketball. They put it together. I mean, just how ridiculous will it look if Ben Simmons finally rolls out onto the court tomorrow night in a potential sweeping game where literally you're the kid who did not show up for any of the project for the group, and you're there on the last day talking about you want to present. It's just an absolute joke, and it's really the tale of two teams and how they've changed over the course, really since Christmas. And we'll get some more into that in a little bit here on KJ and Dondero, 617-779-7937, text line 37937. So, Mark, I consumed the game last night at a wedding. And there's a part of me that felt bad, but not bad. And to kind of put it in perspective, shout out to my cousin Sean, a class of Harvard 05. We're standing in line waiting for our food. I was like, hey, Time Lord's in the game. She's like, Robert Williams is back. I was like, yeah. So we got to see him run around and everything. Then the Celtics started losing their lead because my concern in that first half was, look, Bruce Brown and Claxton, they were easily getting to the front of the rim. And I said, if there was going to be one problem for the Celtics in the series, is these guys getting to that front of the rim without any real rim protection. And when the lead got down to 3, it literally is when I started to eat. So it was 53-50 when literally I sat down my plate of food to eat. And then by the time I got home, it was like 6 minutes left in the game, and it wasn't even close except for that small run towards the end. And so the wedding was off the chain. And when I use that term, trust me, I don't know if you've ever been behind the veil of when people start doing the wobble. Have you heard of this, Mark?
The wobble.
The wobble.
No.
No, I don't expect you to know that. But when that happens, it goes to like another level. But while everybody was doing the wobble, I'm like kind of checking the third quarter, which was really where the Celtics turned it around, held the Nets to only 22 points. I mean, this team has been amazing. Coach Udoka talked about like the flower is blossoming with these guys.
Look, this is a situation where they are, like I said, they are gelling at the right time. If you want to call it that, I think this was building. Now, I didn't see the drastic turnaround from November to what we were witnessing to now necessarily.
I would say the Phoenix game on New Year's Eve day was, to me, the turnaround. When they beat that, when Phoenix was beating everybody at home, on the road, at your uncle's house, they were beating everyone everywhere, and they were full. They had a full roster.
Okay.
And when the Celtics beat them on Christmas, New Year's Eve day, I said, okay, there's the glimmer of light I'm looking for. And then they had the hot January where they ended up beating Chicago. They beat the 76ers. They had to me, that's where the turnaround began. That's where I could start to see the flower come out of the ground.
Okay, so I was just looking back on Twitter last night, and it was interesting to see because obviously there was ups and downs, mostly downs during the beginning part of the season.
Yeah.
But on December 13th, I tweeted, it was just one sentence. All I said was, the good Celtics. And that was a game against the Bucks at TD Garden. They won 117-103. That moved their record at the time to 14-14. Tatum at 42.
Yeah, but that was before the San Antonio. That was before was that the Minnesota game where Greg Monroe said, yeah, number 15 over there, he did a good job because there was that dosage of COVID that hit, and they were lose. He didn't even know the
teammate's name.
Right, and exactly. They lost it. And then they lost that San Antonio game, then the Portland game where they didn't score for the last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. Those all came after that tweet against Milwaukee.
But my point is, though,
yeah.
Early in the season, we every now and then, and an example of that was that game on December 13th, we would see the Celtics show up, the team that everybody thought they could be. And it would be frustrating because then they would just go back into the malaise.
Come on, Mark. You're turning your sundial back quite a bit. Because at that time, I was doing parody saying that this team didn't care anymore, that they were the AAU Celtics, that pretty much these guys kind of wanted to just do their own thing, that if they tried to trade Brown, because Brown was the main name of being moved at that point. But remember, he was having the hamstring injury, so he was playing like half of the games at the time.
Yeah, but
so it would have been hard to move. But I think at the time, there was this thought like they just didn't care. They did not have pride in the team at the time.
I know, but
that's changed.
What I'm trying to say is,
I just think that December 14th is quite early.
But all I'm trying to say, you're not letting me finish. Let me say what I'm trying to say.
I am.
I'm trying to say what we would see on occasion and why this team was so maddening is because every now and then they would put together a game like they did on December 13th against a good team like the Bucks, and then they go back into the malaise. Now they're having those games every single night, and this is what we all hoped and pined for. So it's a beautiful thing. That's what I was trying to say.
It's KJ and Dondero on WEEI 617-779-7937. The text line 37937. Is this Celtics team become what you wanted them to be? Here's Coach Udoka last night saying, look, this team has really blossomed.
Every time they made on a run, either Jalen or Jason would kind of just push back and shut the door on them. How resilient of a team do you guys feel like where you have that kind of perfect balance while Brooklyn on the other end is trying to find different things and try to get them back in it?
Yeah, well, I feel we're a complete team where a ton of guys contributed. Obviously we got our two leading scorers that can do it on that end, but the way they're being guarded opens things up for everybody else. We exploited a few things tonight that we liked going forward, and to their credit, every time, like you said, they made a small run, they would come up with a big bucket or big play, and that's what we ask of from our leaders. They're doing it on a night-to-night basis, have done it all year, and have grown as far as getting other guys involved. And so that last pass to Al is a kind of reflection of that.
Yeah, can we give the players a bit of credit for choosing Ime Udoka as their coach? Because that was a bit of an issue last season at the end of last year where Jaylen Brown had stated, they would like a black head coach. The players kind of chose the coach. Brad Stevens, I think we've gotten quotes from Brad Stevens less than 10 times this year, where last year Danny Ainge seemed like he was answering questions almost every other week. So I give Wick and the upstairs management really a high A for taking something that looked really ugly. I mean, the term I was using was that Brad Stevens was fire-moded last year. But now you see that, okay, the players have trust in Brad for their bigger overreaching or overarching goals in terms of what they were looking for in a team, and probably needed a more chest-to-chest type coach, with M.A., who was with the USA team, and I think Smart and Kemba and Tatum were there together.
Yeah.
I think Jaylen Brown was there together as well.
Give them credit.
Right, so give the players a lot of credit for getting a coach who's been honest with the media. That's been the really refreshing portion, where you felt like Brad couldn't really fully say what he might have thought, and it might have been painted wrong. And I think Danny Ainge would have caught some of that paintbrush. But this year, when the team has stunk, M.A. has said so, and he's praised them when they've needed to be praised. And I think the players need to get a lot of credit, including Marcus Smart, the way he has readjusted his focus.
Okay.
Right? Just the way they're moving the ball around is stuff that you almost prayed for, and now it's on a regular.
Yeah. But I'm going to say this. You want to talk about giving credit? Let's give some credit. what Jason Tatum is doing, he scored 39 points last night, okay? That 39 points, you know what he can do offensively. You know he can drop 50. You know he can go into the 40s. Whatever he wants to do, wherever he wants to go, he can go. If he wants to go to the rack, go to the rim, he is doing it, okay? There were times last night that I was wishing that he'd jack up a three. I wanted him to shoot a three, but no. But he was driving the ball and penetrating and dishing and finishing at the rim and using his strength, and it was awesome to watch. That's what he can do offensively. He's elite. You know that. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about how he is absolutely shutting down Kevin Durant, who many think is one of the most talented, best scorers in the history of the NBA, one of the best players currently in the entire league, if not the best. Jason Tatum is shutting him down. And this is via Chris Forsberg of NBC Sports Boston. 27 minutes matched up with Durant. This is Tatum and Durant matched up. 120.9 possessions, 10 points for Durant, 2 of 15 field goals, 0 for 4 from 3, 10 turnovers, 2 blocks, 2 shooting fouls. That's Tatum matched up with Durant. He is dominating that matchup defensively, and that is something that you don't expect to see necessarily from a top-level elite scorer. He is dominating the best player, arguably offensive player in the NBA defensively. Jason Tatum is doing that.
Yeah, I think here in about 5 minutes we'll discuss, I think last night Jason Tatum put himself on first-team All-NBA, replacing the spot that Kevin Durant
he was already there.
Well, I believe so too, but I think this series is really proving that no one should have a problem leaving Durant's name off of it this year and putting in Jason Tatum's name. And keep in mind, Tatum took 13 threes last night, but it didn't feel that way, right? No. So that's the thing, because when you take away only going 4 for 13 from 3, but I think 13 for 29 from the field. So now you're talking about a guy who went 9 for 16 from inside the arc and went to the free throw line 10 times. So you are seeing the maturity of all the things that you would say, this is what's going to get in the way of the Celtics, is the long ball, the hero ball, the shots from 23 out. There's nobody in there to rebound. These all used to be the jokes and the frustrations. Those are now all eliminated. Again, I go back to Bruce Brown's comments before the series started when he said, they don't have Robert Williams, and so they've got Al Horford back there in Tice, so we should be good. Yeah, how is that working out for your bologna sandwich right now?
Yeah, I mean, Bruce Brown at least has backed it up because he's played well. But... Yeah, that was ridiculous, and they're not really taking advantage of that matchup. Durant is a mess. I think that has to do, though, not just with the Celtics defense, with Tatum. He's the primary guy I think that's getting in the head of Durant.
Yeah, and for the 16-minute guest appearance that made everybody lose their mind, it was like Drake doing a show up on someone's song, was the return of Robert Williams. Here's Time Lord talking about how he felt coming back last night.
How'd you feel, Rob?
Felt good. Got the dub, so I'm feeling a lot better. But no pain, no setback. So just thankful for that.
Perfect. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Remember last week I talked about I would rather Robert Williams return as an accessory versus a necessity. And this has worked out beautifully, right? You get in 16 minutes, you get a block, you get an assist, you get a bucket, you get your feet wet and your beat wet, and then next thing you know, the team you felt like this extra gear went in last night when Rob came on the court. And that bodes well. And I don't want to look too far ahead, but when you're talking about what the matchup is for tomorrow night, man, I am really kind of bummed that I'm not on tomorrow night after what would be, I think, a sweep in Game 4. And just the absolute dismantling. I think this is the end of the Nets as we know it if they get swept tomorrow night. We'll talk about that here in about 5 minutes. But, Mark, so let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. Do you even mess with putting Time Lord out there again for more than 15 minutes again tomorrow?
Honestly, I wouldn't have done it yesterday. I don't think it was a bad idea. I just think as long as he was fully ready to return, I'm good with it. I just didn't know if they were trying to push it a little bit and get him back out there. I don't think that was necessary. I think it was. +5.
Because if you go down 2-1 and then you try and force him in there and suddenly he becomes a factor in the game, you don't want to now start getting into 22, 25 minutes on a first game back and needing to prevent a series from being tied with Durant and Kyrie over there. So,
all right. Well, then, in terms of your question, if he's healthy and if he's ready to play, yes, hell yes, I play him because this guy has to prove. obviously they need him, but at the same time, I need this guy to prove to me that he's capable of being out there night in and night out, especially during a grueling NBA playoff run. So if he's healthy and ready to be there, I want him out there. I want him playing, and I'm going to use him like he's healthy and ready to play.
All right, 617-779-7937. Text line 37937's KJ and Dondero here on WEEI. Still to come, Red Sox plus. I've got a surprise parody today that I cannot reveal towards the end of the show, but it may be Nick may tell you this may be the best one so far. Am I lying, Nick?
It's going to chart tomorrow.
It's going to chart tomorrow. In fact, there might even be some NFT sales available with it, with the lyrics that were written for this one. That's still to come here on KJ and Dondero, but Nick's got